Yojo Senki Saga of Tanya the Evil was by far the best action series for me out of the winter season. Even though last year we had kind of the same setting with Izetta, there was war and there was a witch, but this time the premise is different. Yojo Senki is the story of a businessman. What? Wait, businessman? It's not the story of a war-crazed loli? It's about a businessman who does everything by the books in order to climb the promotional ladder and have a shot at Easy Street. But as karma would have it, due to a rather poor decision on his part, soon finds himself being murdered by a fellow coworker which he fires who pushes him in front of a moving locomotive. Karma. And this is where the story takes a rather interesting turn, because right before the man dies, he has an encounter with God. But even though given the proof that God is right there in front of him, the man simply refuses to believe it. So God comes up with the idea to try to awaken the man's faith by having him reincarnated as a young orphan girl by the name of Tanya, who is gifted with magic and extremely smart. However, despite being given this second chance at life and using it to start anew, Tanya decides to take this opportunity to try to get even with her creator. So she joins the military ranks in hopes of being promoted to a life of ease. But as God would have it, keeps finding herself being thrown into very risky and otherwise very dangerous situations. What I really loved about this series is how it took the situations that Tanya was going through and made them relatable. I'm pretty sure we've all had a situation before where we blamed God, or at least we felt the need to. And for me, this series really hit home because at the time I started watching Yojo Senki, I was actually going through a tough time at my job. So it was really refreshing to come home and watch a series where a character was constantly being tested by a greater power and seeing how she reacted to it. This series also does a really awesome job keeping you entertained with its fantastic action, and there's little bits of ironic comedy sprinkled throughout here and there. With an opening soundtrack performed by Myth and Royd, I cannot complain. The song Jingle Jungle did a fantastic job presenting the series. It also had a very dark and sinister sound to it that I felt really played out well. And besides, this is Myth and Royd we're talking about here, the same artist that did the killer opening and ending themes for both Overlord and ReZero. The animation as a whole I found to be very entertaining. It was a style I wasn't familiar with, but what really made it interesting for me was how the women's faces differed from the men's. We had bigger eyes and wider lips for the women, while the men's faces looked a little bit more standard. Another fascinating bit of animation was how the mages in the series' eyes glowed different colors whenever they were about to use their spells. And there is one other scene that I would like to elaborate on. In episode 2, right after Tanya in her prior life is pushed in front of the train, there is a scene where time comes to a complete halt. And in that instance, you get to see how X communicates with Tanya by speaking through multiple faces, which is honestly how I believe that any deity or a supreme power would try to communicate with people. It gave a very realistic approach to the scene and was beautifully executed. Now for my final thoughts. Do I recommend Yojo Senki Saga of Tanya the Evil? Yes. Not only is this a great action series, but like I mentioned before, the situations that Tanya goes through, mixed with a few sprinkles of ironic comedy, make this series incredibly enjoyable. So definitely check it out if you get the chance. Well everyone, thank you so much for watching, and if you like this review, please drop a like and let me know. And until next time, I'm Kei of Atakadidi. Catch you later.